This is very serious business. Feminists are working to get rid of juries from rape trials so that men do not get a fair trial whatsoever. You have to understand these monsters, this is what this person is, a monster. They realize that they can control the judges. They can set rules and limitations to what the judges can do, but they can't do it for juries. So you have to understand the motivations. Get some good news. Before we listen to this, I want you to let you know that the lawyers are actually boycotting this. Okay, so we'll look at this article after we're through hearing that tripe. Okay, it's going to be painful, but let's hear this monster speak.
You know, victims of rape, predominantly women and girls, are going.
Lie, of course. It's not predominantly women. Female.
They're thinking they're going into this process and it's going to be objective, it's going to be based on the facts, it's going to be based on the evidence.
They're not thinking they know it. And this monster wants to make sure all the objective facts in that are hidden. That's part of it. Like, they control the judges, and the judges will just deny any evidence that exonerates the male victim of false allegations.
And in a lot of cases, that isn't true. Like, I'm working with police forces at the moment that the defense is the least of their worries. Their worries is the jury. And what I mean by that is that...
So, yeah, these police departments want to get the man, and the juries are being honest. By the way, everyone, you must recognize how this is inconsistent, right? So juries can be trusted for something as serious as murder trials, right? But they can't be trusted for rape trials, right? You see the problem here, right?
I've got police forces saying to me, we dread putting cases in front of that particular jury in that particular Crown Court because we know it goes not guilty on rape. Whereas if we put this...
There you go. So the police are saying these juries are going to judge this innocent man innocent. Do you see what's going on here?
Same case 20 miles down the road in that particular Crown Court from that jury, we're more likely to go guilty.
And what's the reason for, are you talking about particular areas of the country or particular makeups of juries?
No, I'm talking about, if you consider the makeup of different areas, you know, and different cultures, different biases, different ethnicity spreads.
This is also horseshit. You see, they have a thing called jury selection. You know, if the defense and prosecutors, if they're worried that a juror is going to be biased in any way, they reject them. So what it is this woman's realizing that any jury presented with the honest evidence will exonerate an innocent man. That's why she's arguing for this. And of course, Good Morning Britain here, they always ask these disgusting feminists, these man-haters, these monsters, they always ask them honest questions, like they don't understand what their motivation is.
You know, all sorts of things like social class, you will get different responses from different juries to that same crime. So this is like a postcode lottery for victims and witnesses.
That's shocking.
But that goes back to people not being familiar with the justice system and the need for training and education.
This is nonsense. The whole point of getting a jury of regular people is because they're unbiased, because they don't know what the system's about, right? They're just people asked to listen to a story and make up their minds. They don't need to know anything about the legal system other than how they're supposed to behave as jurors.
Jurors?
Amongst the population, including those members who will sit as jurors, because most of us can sit as jurors.
Look,
but you can't train bias out, can you? That's the problem, because unconscious...
What you're saying is you can't train bias in. You can't take these individuals that are making up jurors and make sure they're biased against the innocent male victim. That's what she's saying. That's what her problem is with juries.
Conscious bias can't be
that,
trained
as
out
you
by
said,
conscious
well,
training, can it?
As you said earlier, those biases filter into every part of our lives, every part of our society. And the whole point about juries is that they are reflective of the society that they are part of. Whereas a judge, we have, and we pride ourselves on having an independent and an impartial judiciary in this country.
Yes.
And therefore...
Are they impartial? Like, really, though, are they impartial? Because, for example, we know that when...
No, actually, no one is actually impartial. But the point is, they make it as impartial as they can get, and this woman wants it to be as partial as she can get.
We know that even if I'm just kind of arguing myself into a corner here, but here we go, is that if judges or a panel took over this and we got rid of juries, for example, we know when we test psychological attitudes of judges and even of professionals, they are likely to hold the same victim blaming, pro-rape biases as the jury does.
Absolutely.
So what's the answer?
Sounds like you're coming to a point.
This is a bold-faced lie. And of course, look at how everyone laughs. You know, it's like, it's just infuriating how these monsters can get up and everyone pats them on the back and gives them their due or their lack of due or whatever you want to call it, simply because they're a bunch of females. This is a subhuman.
Point of agreement.
What is the answer then? If you get rid of the jury and you've still got the problem of unconscious bias in a judge or a panel of judges, what do you do? Have you got an answer?
Yeah, so why are you asking an honest question to this liar? They can train the judges to become biased, and they can't do it to juries. That's her real issue. That's her problem.
I actually think that there are some answers, like there are some things. I think that there would be more accountability if there was a panel of professionals. We've got to remember as well, only 1% of...
Panel of professionals means professional hate mongers. Feminist indoctrinated. That's what she means.
Cases in the UK are even put in front of a jury. The majority are in magistrates, which don't even see a jury, and there are 3 magistrates that are trained that are held accountable.
That's for less serious criminal offences.
But don't you think that's interesting then? So the most serious offences go in front of 12 people that have got no idea what they're doing and hold...
Well, I'm sorry, but as a...
Again, they put jurors for murder trials, right? She's not arguing against that, is she? So these people should see the obvious biased here, the obvious motivation from this scumbag, this subhuman.
As a former court reporter, as a newspaper reporter, I've covered many magistrates' cases, and I've seen some terrible decisions.
Yes,
made.
same.
I mean, clearly,
I'll agree with that. Yeah,
exactly. Terrible decisions, but when you get 12 people from all corners of the area, you're more likely to get fairness. But this is neither here nor there. You've got to understand what the motivation is. This scumbag wants to prevent justice for men. That's what's going on here. And these people, they know it.
I've seen drunk magistrates.
Yeah, I've seen asleep magistrates.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember one of the first court cases, I saw an asleep juror.
Yeah.
I mean, which, and of course, action can be taken in that case, I know, but I mean, it's a flawed system. I suppose the question is, which is the minimal flaw in the system?
Well, exactly. But the whole point is about addressing some of the recommendations that have come out from, and let's be clear, these are proposals, there are provisions. It's a consultation paper that will close in September. So anyone who's had experience of or seek to want to share their views should
all right.
submit those.
That was extremely interesting.
Just to finish the debate, if you were representing a victim you knew that you were...
Okay, enough of this. We don't need to hear the rest of this. Now we're going to look at lawyer boycott jury list. Rape trials to be unanimous. Jury list. This is good news. There's some good news to this. It's not the best news because those monsters are going to perpetually be working against this. But anyway, we'll hear what they had. Lawyers across Scotland are expected to join near unanimous boycott of a pilot scheme for juryless rape trials. Thank you. Now, we all know that Scotland has become officially feminist. So why are you losers, pal? Stuart Murray, if that's you, why are you fighting against this? You accepted a hate group ahead of you to control over you, right? So come on, these people do not, they're in constant denial of reality. Anyway, Stuart Murray, Vice President of Scottish Solicitors Bar Association, said at least 7 bodies had voted against the government proposals. Well, that's good to hear. Legal professionals have said the scheme proposed to tackle low conviction rates. That's the problem, isn't it? Low conviction rates. It's not about justice. Could undermine the judicial system. It's not could, you female panderer. It will. That's its point. That's its point. He pointed to a weight of evidence that juries are affected by rape myths and misconceptions. Right. The pilot was proposed by Scotland's second most senior judge, Lady Dorian, in review that informed the victims, witnesses of Justice Reform Scotland bill. Right. Is that her? Judge Judy? Yeah. So this is a scumbag. This is a feminist scumbag who should not be in charge of anything. And yet, because men pander to women, they allow monsters like this in human guise to get into positions of authority. And then this happens. So what do these guys do? They strike it down for now. And these monsters will never rest. So, dude, if you want this to remain, this injustice to remain out of the British, or in this case, Scotland system, you have to get rid of the monsters. It's that simple. I won't be nice anymore or play like I'm neutral. This is a terrible human being, if you can call her one. And you guys have to oust them. You have to start screening out the feminist and say, okay, we're at the very least, since we can't throw you behind bars, we can at least get rid of your position. You're no longer a judge. You do not belong in any position of authorities at all. That's what needs to happen. Now look at this. The lawyer said he hoped the boycott would put an end to the scheme. But he said he could not say for certain because the Scottish government was so unpredictable. That's a nice way of saying the Scottish government is man-hating. It's a feminist government. Scotland is an official feminist government. He said that lawyers had responded to the knee-jerk reaction from Scottish government, a blatant attempt to increase conviction rates. Yeah. Notice how they use these neutral terms. It's not increase conviction rates. It's to throw innocent men behind bars. That's what's going on. Like you say, for these guys to deal with the hatred in their country, they have to constantly deny it to themselves. This man does not want to admit that women don't particularly like men and are willing to throw innocent men in jail. He doesn't want to admit that. Well, I'm admitting it, pal. What's your name again? Stuart Murray. I'm admitting it. It's about time you guys started dealing with reality. But at least they showed some kind of integrity and boycotted this. Matter of fact, Mr. Pink and Yellow said this to me before this article ever showed up. He said, you know, if lawyers actually cared about justice, they would go out in the streets and boycott it. And guess what? That's exactly what they did. But again, all this is temporary unless they finally come to terms with the monsters that are roaming the countryside. Okay? Men have to admit what's going on. Thank you, everyone.